This is Justin.
And this is Haley, and you're listening to The Price of Avocado Toast.
We're a married millennial couple wanting to normalize conversations about money. We want to hear about your highs and your lows,
The do's and the don'ts on your path towards financial freedom. Hi, Toasties. Welcome to Price of Avocado Toast.
Whether you're a first-time listener or you've been following us from the start of this thing, we're so glad to have this conversation with you today. Toasties, it's been a couple weeks since we got to chat with you guys, and we really missed you.
Yeah.
We are glad to hop back on. Last we talked to you all, we were sharing our big news about our real estate home in Warren, Michigan, and we figured, well, it's the end of quarter one, so we should probably hop on and give them a little update on our goals from the year. And we also wanted to give you some takeaways maybe that could help your grocery budget as inflation continues to just absolutely ruin your life.
Yeah, quite literally. So 2022 was our year of 100,000.
Yes.
We had 3 different goals to hit 100,000 in 3 different areas of our life. First one was our income. Second one is our net worth. And the third one is podcast downloads. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, and it feels so far like we're on the right track for all 3.
For the most part. So our income is kind of like, we'll know what that looks like when we do taxes next year. I mean, we are tracking things. Things are pretty steady.
Yeah, I think so. One of the exciting things about income that is going to benefit us is that I'll be getting a 6% raise next year.
Which is a massive raise for a teacher.
On top of also going down one step in the salary scale. So I'm, getting another year of service, so that's going to bump my salary as well. So that's really encouraging overall. That should actually give us a decent little bump.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. I think you're excited about that too. We just calculated our net worth, and we're actually down about $950 for the year. I'm honestly not surprised because the market is kind of up and down and all the way around right now. So we're in it for the long run. This isn't like a huge deal. But we just got our real estate investment, so that now has a chunk of it. So as we continue to pay down the principal on the real estate home, things should be looking up. I really hope we get up to our goal, but only time will tell.
Yeah. And again, if you look at like all of the, Instagram finance creators or whatever space in social media that you're looking at finance creators, like everybody says, we're playing the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, we're tracking our net worth after a few months in the year, but we're not looking at it like this is the end all be all. We are thinking decades down the road. And that's all that matters, really.
And I think it's okay. That's the way that it goes. It goes up and down, and we're looking 30 years down the road, so I think we're okay. The last category is podcast downloads, and I am super excited to announce that we are on track.
We are like well and above on track because we have a really steady trajectory of like going up in download each week, and the Toasties have been showing up for us big time. So
going up.
Shout out to you all. I don't know if you've been sharing this with friends or if you're just like, I don't know, playing it around a bunch of other people and then they're playing it, or if you're like blasting it in yoga studios somewhere, who knows? Either way, thank you so much.
This is the perfect opportunity to talk about the few times we've encountered random people in the community who have listened to our podcast. So I will go first.
Okay, cool.
I went to Lake Tahoe for a 4-day bachelorette trip, which was super fun. And our Uber driver literally was like, oh, because I was telling everyone about our podcast. He listened to our podcast. He was a toastie. And then you best believe I told everyone else in the karaoke bar about our podcast. But I thought that was a trip.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What a small world.
Yeah.
My experience was I was on Twitter and a fellow teacher was like, hey, I have this book that I'm going to be getting rid of because I have an extra copy. If there's any educators out there that want it, go ahead and let me know. And then I obviously reached out. She DM'd me immediately and was like, yeah, I can send it off to you. By the way, I'm a toastie and love your podcast. So, Megan, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for the book for my classroom library. It was really cool, though. It was like, oh, wow, that's really awesome. It made me feel really proud of this little project of ours.
Oh, I love that. Can you take a second to share about your students and their families? Because I think that's so funny.
Yes, I will also share about my students. So I've had 3 separate students come up to me and tell me that they've listened to the podcast in the morning on the way to school. one student asked me, "Did you really spend that much money on your degree?" And it's like, yes, I did. We talk about it maybe not being the wisest decision. And then yeah, the others just said they listened to it on the car. So I'm hopeful that their parents are paying attention of the explicit content and maybe not listening to it around my students. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Hopefully they skip over the fuck debt episode.
Yeah, hopefully they just see the title and like move right past that. That'd be cool.
Oh, that's too funny. I also want to share a fun stat before we dive into today's episode.
Cool.
There's a website that people can go on to check out like podcast stats and how certain podcasts are doing. It's called listennotes.com. I'll put that in the show notes in case anyone just wants to kind of go on Listen Notes and look up different podcasts. But according to Listen Notes, we are in the top 1.5% of podcasts worldwide.
Wow.
And it's a really, really cool thing when you're looking at, there are millions of podcasts, but only like 23% of podcasts are actually active. So it's actually not as saturated as people think it is. I'm not saying our 1% is not as cool as it is, because it's a really cool thing. But we are there.
I think that's great. I'm going to celebrate that because the fact that we've kept this going for this long is really cool. I mean, it's become something really, really fun, and we've met some great people. So the fact that it's up there and enjoyable for people makes me feel really good. I think that's just great.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Go team. High five.
Woo! One final thing before we do get into the episode, and I would be remiss if we didn't mention this. We've been planning to have our wonderful friend V on, but due to Haley and I having some different plans on the weekends that we've had to unfortunately cancel on V, she hasn't been able to join us for a couple weeks, but we plan on having her back soon, and we just want to give V some love. She's had a hard few weeks in life in general, and she just keeps being her amazing self. So, V, whenever you listen to this, we just want you to know that we love you and care about you. We're sorry for having to reschedule on you so often. We appreciate your patience, and we can't wait to chat again.
I'm super excited for our next episode when we do that, because we're going to be going over the Dave Ramsey baby steps, but kind of like revamp, like what to do if we were to rewrite them.
Yeah.
Baby steps, what not to do.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And V's such a good conversationalist. It's
Yeah.
just always a nice time getting to chat.
So, if you're not subscribed to our podcast, please make sure you're subscribed so you do not miss that episode.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure. Okay, that's our little update on our goals. Let's get into the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of this week's episode.
Yes.
We wanted to give you guys kind of the Brownwood's top 10 grocery hacks. Now, this doesn't need to be long and drawn out, but we just kind of want to talk about what do things look like in our household, in our kitchen, in our money, around food and when we go shopping and all of that stuff, because we've noticed looking at our budget that we've had to, put a little bit more money into our grocery budget due to inflation and, product cost going up. So we figured if we're feeling this, others are feeling this. Maybe we can give some tangible steps or some tangible ideas to other people so that they are not feeling it so much in their wallet.
I feel like across the board, I'm looking at people on Instagram and really people in our daily lives as I'm talking to people, and people are really, really affected right now with the increase of things. It seems like it's not that big of a deal as one thing goes up $1. But when you're going grocery shopping for a family of 3 or 4 or 5 and 50 different things go up $1, it really, really compounds quickly.
Yeah, it adds very fast.
I mean, just for example, of our grocery, this is like not actually food, but things that I've noticed that went up in the last few months immediately. Our dog food went up $3. The formula we use for our daughter went up $2.50, and we get 2 of those a month, so or sometimes 3. So that's like really, really, really adding up. And so if you feel the stress of your grocery budget being tight lately, it's because it is tight. And it's okay. And everyone is feeling that right now. So we wanted to do an episode kind of about how to keep expenses low in the way that we can control it. We can't control everything with the prices, but there are certain strategies that we can use to keep things as low as possible.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to share our ideas and what is working for us.
Yeah. So the first one, and I think this is arguably the most important one, is you have to meal plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
We've said that before on the podcast, and it's really important. Create a meal plan. What are you going to eat for the week? What are you going to eat for the month? You can do 1 week at a time, 2 weeks at a time, a whole month, we've kind of experimented with all three of those options. I find that when we go day to day, what are we going to make today? That is when we're spending the absolute most money.
Yep.
That's that's just never a good idea.
Yeah, totally. I think it'd be cool too. Maybe sometime this week we can just kind of post a picture or like a quick video of our meal plan for the month, because I actually really enjoyed putting that together. I had a lot of fun like looking at what recipes I wanted to do and stuff, and then I just laid it all out on a Google Doc, and I've got a little list of what we need to get at the start of each week from the store up the street. But I was able to get a lot at Costco last week before the month started, and yeah, I'm really excited for that meal plan. So I agree. Monthly meal plan is the way to go.
Hey, that was a great segue into the next one.
Yes.
Go team. So the next one is to buy in bulk. And if you follow us on Instagram, and if you don't, we're at Price of Avocado Toast, you probably have seen our Costco hauls, which, by the way, are so much fun.
I had somebody, shout out my mom, tell me that she loves watching your Instagram Costco hauls. She said that yesterday when I checked in with her. She was like, by the way, I know I know this makes me sound maybe kind of old and weird, but I really like watching that. And I was like, Mom, we do that because there are other people in this world that really like seeing that as well. Don't worry.
Okay, for real, that's like our most watched stories. People love that.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I think it's because everyone's a little nosy. Like, what do people eat in their house? Like, what do they buy?
Yeah.
And then you see, like, oh, I have that too. And it's a little connection. Or you're like, wow, those people really splurge on chocolate covered almonds. So basically, we buy in bulk. And I was going to say with Costco, we go shopping once a month at Costco, sometimes twice if we really need to catch up on other things that didn't fit in the cart, because that happens sometimes. But we go once a month, the beginning of the month, and we spend a lot of money. It's like $800. And this is not just groceries. We buy all of our stuff for dog food, diapers, baby wipes, formula, all of the household stuff, like laundry detergent and dishwasher pods. We buy all of that at once, just so we don't have to keep making trips. And I do want to mention, we live 45 minutes from Costco. So that's the main reason why we do that. But buying in bulk has really helped us with planning, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is controversial. A lot of people wouldn't agree that a family of like 4 people, and 2 of our people are tiny people. We have little babies. If you're new just listening, we have a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old. And a lot of people would say, why do you need to buy in bulk at Costco? But I firmly believe we've saved money that way. Would you agree?
I agree, absolutely. I mean, yes, they're not eating full meals like a grown human, but it doesn't mean that the things that we're purchasing are like not valuable or getting, wasted.
So how do we do the Costco in bulk? Can you explain to the listeners without letting things go bad for like the fresh stuff?
Are you talking about like veggies and stuff like that?
Yeah, fruits and veggies.
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure. So obviously, when we go, we try and get those things in bulk because our daughters really like those right now. And we chatted with Keely from Sustainable Finances, and she kind of gave us some tips on the way we can store the fruit in glass dishes to make it last a little longer. And so we've been doing that recently, and it's been really good. You've been like rinsing them in like a vinegar.
Yeah, cold water with a cap of vinegar and a dash of salt.
Yeah, and it's kept them great, and the girls love it, and we've been, able to go through our fruits without them going bad. And so that's just the way that we do it. And this goes back to the first thing we talked about with the meal plan. When we're getting those veggies, I usually am looking at like fresh veggie dishes like right at the start of the month, several nights in a row. So if I'm getting a bin of salad, I'm making salads like 4 or 5 nights in a row usually, to try and get rid of it. Now this month we only did like 2 nights in a row salad because we had an extra guest with us, but the salads were a little beefed up for a couple nights.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we don't let our produce go bad from Costco, because that has totally happened from like in the past, but we try to use that as a reflection. Like if we're continuing to buy cucumbers and they're molding every single time, then that's a like do not buy cucumbers red flag. And so we use that reflection with what we want to buy in bulk and then what we want to just get in smaller portions from the local grocery store.
Yep, celery did not make the list this Costco go around because it realized like, wait a minute, we're not eating this celery like we should, so we're not going to buy it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we can smash baby carrots.
Yes. Yes, baby carrots are crushed in this household.
So good.
All right, I'm on next. So this one's exciting for me because I'm, as many people know, Chef Boyardee in the kitchen. Uh, I guess maybe that's not the right term because people might think I'm not a good cook, but I actually think I'm pretty good in the kitchen. So,
Wait, are you saying Chef Boyardee is not good?
I guess Chef Boy. I mean, he's
You are way better than
he's a
Chef Boyardee.
multimillionaire. He's doing something right. Okay, so one thing that I super super recommend is search recipes. Go online and find sites you use. Shout out to Delish D'lites, Janice from Yo Quiero Dinero. I'm cooking a couple dishes of hers for spring break next week, and I'm so excited for that. However, here's my little caveat with searching recipes. You should actually search recipes based on the ingredients you have. So just go to your Google search bar, type in recipe, and then type several items. Maybe it's chicken, broccoli, rosemary, potato,
Mm-hmm.
and see the first four things that come up and see what you can kind of cross use in your pantry, in your fridge to get rid of some of it and make a great meal. You don't need to search recipes like, oh, I'm really dying for, this really great brisket sandwich. If you're not planning on smoking brisket this month and you don't have hoagie rolls laying around, you probably just shouldn't spend money on those things unless you're going to plan to like maybe use it multiple times. When you're searching for recipes, think, what do I already have? What else lines up with what's on the meal plan? Because the cost of goods right now are just way too expensive to add unnecessary stuff to your budget often. You can do
Mm-hmm.
those things, once or twice to like enjoy some new things and have some new food that you're liking, but you can't make it an every night thing.
Like ciabatta bread.
Yes.
I'm just thinking like if there was a sandwich that was called for ciabatta bread and you bought like a whole giant massive loaf, that might
Yeah.
be excessive.
Like could you instead just use the French loaf that you've already got,
Right.
right? Like there's other things you can do. So if you just search for those recipes, you're going to get some pretty good ideas.
Love that. Our next grocery hack, and this might be one of my favorites, and I probably have said that about everything at this point, but I have a lot of favorites. But struggle meals. Like you have to
Yes.
have some go-to struggle meals that you have when you don't want to cook or when you just are feeling kind of lazy. And our struggle meals are pasta and pesto and red sauce. We we have tortellini and raviolis at all times. We have red sauce and pesto at all times. We also have a bag of frozen chicken at all times and then some frozen vegetables. So, when in doubt, it's raviolis.
Yes, or searing a chicken breast with a little bit of like a homemade teriyaki
Right.
with some rice and frozen vegetables. Like those things are mindless in the kitchen. Anyone can do those. Super super simple and they don't cost you a ton of money. Folks are going to be fed and happy and you're just going to get through the frickin' night so
Mhm.
that tomorrow morning can get here.
You almost can't go wrong. And we used to use like frozen. They have cauliflower pizza at Costco. We used to
Yes.
use that a lot, but then we realized we were eating a lot of pizza.
Yeah, that used to be a really fun struggle meal.
Maybe we should get that next month, just to
I'd be
have
okay with
like,
that. A little May treat.
yeah,
Yeah. I'd be
sounds
okay with
yummy.
that. Okay, so this next one is again another fun one for me in the kitchen. Utilize all of your kitchen appliances. I know that sometimes we get locked into like, I'm just gonna roast this chicken in the oven. I'm just gonna bake this and bake this and bake this. But toss it in a cast iron skillet on the stovetop every now and then. Maybe air fry it one or two nights out of the week and do something new like that. We have all of these cool gadgets and appliances to use in the kitchen. And when we vary the usage of them, it almost, I think, tricks our brain into thinking we're trying something totally different.
Mhm.
Air fried chicken breast is different than oven roasted chicken breast, is different than skillet fried chicken breast, right? So, trying to use these different appliances in different ways, these different tools in different ways, is going to trick your brain into thinking it's something totally different. It's going to add a little bit of spice, ha ha ha, full pun intended, into your life and make meal planning just a bit easier.
And if you don't have an air fryer, you should get one to make tater tots.
Yes.
That's the conclusion.
My brother just bought an air fryer, and I was at their
He
house.
did?
Yeah, a very, very mini one on Facebook Marketplace. But I was at their house this past weekend, and we went and got McDonald's hash brown patties and brought them home, air fried them so they're a little bit like crisper, and uh, did like soy riso and egg burritos. It was really good with the hash browns.
Ooh,
It was
yum.
very delicious. Yeah,
That's what's up.
I was a big fan. Okay, This next one's me again, and I struggle with this one. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Okay, I really struggle with this one, but it's one that's important, especially because of product costs right now. When you're making your meal plan, try and stick to 1 to 2 proteins max. Frozen chicken breast should 1000% be on your meal plan. It's too easy. It's way simple. You honestly can't go wrong. Obviously, the health content is pretty darn good for you if you're talking about proteins. So you should have a bag of frozen chicken breasts on you. Beyond that, don't do all the proteins. Don't be like, yes, we're getting pork loin and tri-tip, and we're going to be getting some tomahawk steaks for that one night. And I also decided to purchase ground beef and ground turkey this month. Like, just pick one, use some meals for that, and then the next month you can switch it up. Because honestly, again, the product cost right now is so easy to spike your grocery budget. So easy. The name of the game right now is how can I get my food budget down? How can I find a way to get this lower? And adding proteins to your cart is not going to be the way to do it. However, one more caveat, a rotisserie chicken does not count as a protein. You should always get a rotisserie
Oh,
chicken when you're at Costco.
you can't go wrong. Okay, so let's do a little reflection real fast.
Okay.
Because when we lived in Santa Rosa, we would get chicken,
Yes.
tri-tip,
Yes.
chicken apple sausage, bacon, I mean, ground turkey, ground beef, quite literally everything. And for some reason, we're spending more money on groceries now because of inflation. So why?
Yeah.
Why? It's just not okay. Okay. The next one is I want you guys to not be afraid of frozen or canned foods. And I feel like we've all just been told that fresh vegetables are just the best and the only way to do it. And that's just not true.
Agreed. And if we like actually are breaking down into it too, like there is certainly like a class status thing there
Yeah.
that is unfortunate that we do, right? Like not everybody has access to fresh fruit and vegetables. Like we're very blessed that we do, but not everywhere in the world and not everywhere in the United States, not everyone in the United States has access to quick fruit and veggies like that.
Hmm. And there's nothing wrong with getting your vegetables in frozen form or getting canned green beans instead of fresh green beans if you know that you can't keep them fresh as long as you can. Maybe you have a small refrigerator, or maybe you just have one refrigerator inside. We happen to have, I should mention that, when we buy in bulk, we have a fridge and a freezer in our garage as well. So we can do stuff like that. But we also do get frozen things as well. And I think that's okay. And I think people need to really be okay with that. I don't know. It's the whole culture that we need to have the freshest and the best for everyone, and that's just not realistic for everyone, and it's just not fair. Anyway, end of my rant on that. But going off of frozen things, the next thing that I want to give you for a tip is to freeze things. So buy things in bulk and then freeze them. We freeze bread, cheese, butter, meat, quite literally everything.
Yeah, I mean our freezer after a
It's
Costco
big.
haul can be pretty darn big, and we portion stuff out. We vacuum seal some of it.
Hmm.
We like wrap and package other stuff. Like we are all about freezing it until I need it.
And the $7 Costco muffins, which are no longer $7 because of inflation, you can actually wrap those up and individually freeze those to pull them out when you want to enjoy a nice muffin.
Oh, and they're so good. They stay so moist.
They're so good.
Delicious. All right. I got the last two here, and we'll run these down for you, and then we'll give you the top 10 back over again. But number 9 is get yourself some quality glassware. Now, when we post our meal plan, you're going to see I'm planning for leftovers. When I'm planning for those leftovers, we got to have some way to store them. And a great way to store them is using Pyrex dishes. Another brand that we use is called like Anchor or Hook or something like that. Like, get glass dishware or, packageware, whatever you want to call it. I want to call it Tupperware because I think Tupperware is a brand, right? But, like, get glass.
Yeah, I think
So,
Tupperware is a brand. And I
yeah,
think Tupperware is an MLM.
probably. That's why everybody has it. But get glassware to package your leftovers so that you obviously are able to hold everything, right? But those are going to be more sustainable than Tupperware in the long term. And maybe it's just weird. Maybe it's just something about me. But like, there's a certain, there's there's a certain feel of like packaging it all up in the glass and like popping it in the fridge nice and sealed, pulling it out the next day, opening it up and enjoying this like really great lunch. You're like, yes, I was so excited for this. It was really great dinner. Like, oh, leftovers are done. Dinner doesn't take long tonight. I don't know. And maybe I'm going for the nostalgia here of the glassware, but it's important. Get some good glassware. It's number 9. It's not the most important thing on the list, but it made the top 10. It cracked the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important. Okay, and then finally, number 10, play all your greatest hits and don't be afraid to play them. When people go to a concert and they're asking for an encore, they want the greatest hit of that band. When you go into the kitchen, play your greatest hits. What do I mean by that? If your family has a dish that y'all enjoy, that you know is inexpensive, that you know you can cook up easily, everybody's going to be happy and fed and they're going to feel that love, make that. Put it in your meal plan at least once a month. If you all don't mind, have it every 2 weeks. Have it be your thing. Because, first off, life's too short and nobody should stress over a meal plan like that. So if you know something that the family likes, just put it in there to relieve yourself of stress. But after that, again, product cost. If you're doing something once and then maybe doing something twice and it's an inexpensive dish, now you've got a couple nights worth where you know it's going to be really cheap on your wallet.
That reminds me of our stuffed bell peppers, and you did a cost breakdown when we first started our podcast. And I don't know if we mentioned that on the podcast. We probably did. This was a long time ago. But I think it was like $2.50 per stuffed bell pepper. And we make like 6 of them. So that's very affordable.
Yeah, very inexpensive for sure.
All right, so let's do a recap of the top 10 grocery hacks to keep a grocery budget nice and low. Number 1, meal plan and use a grocery list created by that meal plan. Number 2, buy in bulk.
Number 3, search recipes based on the ingredients you actually have in your kitchen.
Number 4, have struggle meals like raviolis and tortellini and pesto.
Number 5, stick to 1 to 2 proteins maximum. Number 6, utilize those kitchen appliances. Looking at you, air fryer.
Number 7, freeze things like cheese and bread. Number 8, don't be afraid of frozen food or canned food.
Number 9, get some quality glassware for the kitchen. And number 10, play all the greatest hits.
Wow. I think this is going to be really beneficial.
I really hope so. Toasties, when you're listening to this, tell us, is there one that you think we left on the list? What's the honorable mention for you and your family? Is there one that you're like, what? That's at number 7? That should totally be number 1. I mean, these weren't totally in order, but if you want to take it like that, give us your Mount Rushmore, your top 4 of like what happens in your household.
And I would really like for you to engage on our Instagram stories this week. Share how much you guys are spending on groceries, and I will reshare the answers so people can relate and compare. I'll also be asking for like your location and stuff, family, size, and all that jazz. But people are really nosy Nancy's, just like me, and they want to know how much money people are spending on certain things. Because how are we supposed to know if something's normal if we don't talk about it?
Exactly. And we all spend money on groceries.
Right.
Not everybody spends money on, eyelashes, or not everybody spends money on like, putting something aside for like fantasy football. We all have to buy food. We all are in this food landscape together. So understanding and knowing where other people are coming from, talking to other people about what their family enjoys and what meals are inexpensive for them can really kind of help us all get ahead.
And I have to say, I've heard so many people from my financial coaching clients when I first sit down and talk to them, like, what do you want out of life? What are some things that you want to do? So many people say, I just want to be able to go to the grocery store and buy whatever I want without worrying about how much it costs.
Yeah.
So everyone has this desire to enjoy food. We all like food. We all eat food. We all spend money on food. So let's not be hush-hush. Let's talk about it. Ask a friend this week, what did you spend on groceries? And they'll be like, excuse me. And then you could say, hey, listen to Price of Avocado Toast. It'd be great.
Exactly. That's going to do it for this episode of Price of Avocado Toast. As always, we are so thankful to have had this conversation with you and so grateful to be part of this community. You got this. Wait, I say happy budgeting.
You totally
You
screwed
say
this
you
up.
got this, Toasties. What?
Oh,
The last time we did this, the last time I feel like I did this, I did it on my own.
Because you interviewed me.
I interviewed you.
This has been way too long. We need to come back to Haley and Justin.
Jeez, I guess so.
You've got this, Toasties.
Happy budgeting. Thanks for listening to The Price of Avocado Toast. If you vibed with this episode, share it with a friend that you're comfortable having money talks with. And if you don't mind, we'd love if you could rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're in need of my support as a financial coach, message me on Instagram. I'd love to help in any way that I can. Until next time.